Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our LTC Spring Webinar Series. We hope you had a restful holiday, and we hope that you're back to school either in person or virtually on this somewhat snowy day here in Western Illinois. I don't know what it's like where you are, but we're glad that you took some time out of your day to join us for today's webinar. Uh, January is Cybersecurity Month, and we are looking forward to some great tips to help you and your students stay safe online today. But before we get started, um, number one, we'd like to know who's joining us. So if you wouldn't mind, in the comments, please let us know where you're joining us from and what you do in the realm of education. And while you're doing that, we have just a few announcements about some upcoming events. Join Jared, Eric, and Dwayne for Be Connected, a weekly networking series from the LTC focused on facilitating open discussions about pertinent topics within Illinois' technology and IT community. Learn more at ltc.site/Be Connected. Secured Schools is an annual conference hosted by the Learning Technology Center that focuses on cybersecurity and data privacy best practices, strategies, and tools. This two-day virtual event is coming up on January 16 and 17. Learn more and register at ltc.site/secured. The LTC has a podcast. Join us for the LTC One-to-One podcast and learn about timely topics and techie tips from experts around the world. We're playing on YouTube podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and almost anywhere you get your podcasts. Learn more at ltc.site/podcasts. Just a reminder, we are recording and live streaming this webinar. You can be notified of upcoming webinars and watch all of our recorded content by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Learning Technology Center, all one word. Illinois PD credit is available to registered participants who join us through StreamYard only. If you found this live stream elsewhere and would like to earn PD credit, simply visit ltc.site/webinars and register for this or future webinars. And speaking of future webinars, Lisa Schwartz and I will share some tips for safe AI use in your school and classrooms on January 23rd. Jennifer Ehalt from Common Sense Education will share their latest lesson collection to help you and your students develop AI literacy on January 30th. Belsa Rios from CAMI returns on February 13 to provide ideas to help you empower student agency in your classroom. Thanks again for joining us today. The full recording of today's webinar will be available later this week at ltc.site/webinars. And now, let's welcome today's guest. Eric Muckensturm is the Cybersecurity Specialist for the Learning Technology Center of Illinois. Eric provides expert network infrastructure support and guidance to schools and districts statewide. Eric also provides a multitude of services to help Illinois public school districts improve their overall security posture and maturity, including through the implementation of standards, frameworks, and industry best practices. Welcome to the webinar, Eric. We're excited to learn more.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me and joining us. My name is Eric Muckensturm. Thank you for the intro, Matt. I really appreciate that. And today we are going to talk about cybersecurity in the user realm, staying safe in an increasingly dangerous online world. A lot of times we think of cybersecurity as an issue for the IT person to take care of. The tech guys take care of all that. They keep us safe, and that is true to an extent. But it takes a village. We all have to realize that it's not just up to the IT people. It's up to the users. It's up to admin. It's up to even your superintendent and your board in some cases when it comes to policy making. So everybody has a hand in cybersecurity. And I think the more we work together and the more we communicate, the safer we're going to be. More often than not, people also think what can we do to keep something from happening? Um, Anymore now, it's going to be not an if but a when something happens. So we learn on the IT side to mitigate as much risk as possible, and that's what I want to talk about today is some good tips and best practices so that you can help in that regard, keep yourself safe and also keep your students and the district safe. um, if anybody would like to get in touch with me, here is my contact information. You're welcome to send me an email or reach out on Twitter and follow me there and message me on Twitter as well. So the first thing we want to do, this was given to me, this idea by Holly Kelly. She's a regional ed tech coordinator for the Learning Technology Center. And when she talks to teachers and districts, she starts with 2 truths and a lie. So we're going to select the lie in the following question. A, your district owns your Google Workspace for Education account. B, all district Google accounts can be accessed and searched at any time by a district administrator. Or C, your tech director's favorite part of their job is investigating inappropriate student behavior. Which of those are the lie? I'm going to give just a minute to see if anybody can put in the comments which they think is the lie. All right. So in the comments, I don't know if you'll be able to see this in the recording, but in the comments, of course, letter C is coming up, and that is absolutely the case. The tech director's favorite part of their job is absolutely not investigating inappropriate student behavior. That is one of the things that we hate the most. When I was in a district and I was a tech director, that takes up an inordinate amount of time, and it's very frustrating as well when that happens, because you start worrying about what else could be happening inside your district, what the students are doing, and then it just takes up a lot of time and resources as well. So, oops, I'm clicking on the wrong thing here. Your district accounts. We'll talk about these just for a second. It is your professional work account. It's for educational purposes only. Do not sign up for personal accounts. This is one of the roughest things that we go through as a tech person, is because everybody seems to kind of mix and match their accounts together. They'll use their work email account for signing up for TikTok or some kind of social media, or they'll sign up for Target or something like that, something that doesn't have any educational use. So that is something you want to make sure that you keep separate. Of course, don't identify any personal information. Make sure you do read your acceptable use policy in the student handbook. You've had to sign, I'm sure, a paper saying that you will conduct yourself appropriately and follow the school rules, district rules. So make sure you know what you're signing and what the rules are. Okay. Okay, district Google accounts. All activity is tracked and monitored via the Google admin panel. Now that is if you are a Google district, but that doesn't mean that only Google districts have this. The account is owned by the school district. So it is important to remember that since they own the account, whether or not it's in your name. It could be your name at the district .org or whatever. That's still owned by the district. All the devices that are used at school, all the networking equipment at school, it's all owned by the district. So everything that goes across that information is able to be tracked. Now, if you're asking, well, what happens if I'm at home and I'm on my school email account? Yes, that's able to be tracked as well, because it is a district account and the district can get information from there. It can be accessed and searched at any time by a district administrator. Now, depending on which district administrator is probably dependent on what your school policy or district policy is. They're not, I just want to let you know, district administrators don't have the time to sit there and read through emails or read through logs left and right. So more than likely it's going to be if there's a FOIA request or some kind of complaint that's made, that they'll go through and maybe search through emails and things like that. But just be aware that that can happen at any time. Anything that you save on your computer or do on the network, that can be accessed and searched as well. Your district account may or may not be deleted after you graduate or leave the district. Unfortunately, there's not any specific guidance in terms of what the law is on how long we're supposed to keep that information, keep the email accounts open, keep the Google Drive accounts open. So it's really up to board policy and what they go through with their lawyers to say how long they should keep it. A lot of people, since they don't have a concrete answer, they're just keeping it forever. So be aware that if you do leave the district, that's probably going to stick around. And of course, as we said before, the lie was that tech people do not want to go through, and it's not just student inappropriate behavior, it's teachers and administrators as well. That's the least favorite responsibility. In cybersecurity, so what we talk about in cybersecurity is called the CIA triad. That means confidentiality, integrity, and availability. The confidentiality of the data that's stored in the network and that goes across the network is very important. We want to make sure that only the people that are supposed to have it have that information, and no one else, and it doesn't get shared with anybody that it shouldn't. Integrity means that the data stays the same. It doesn't get changed by someone that's not supposed to have access to it, or get changed even by someone who does have access to it, but in a way that's not supposed to happen, basically. And then availability, while we are locking all that information down and making sure that people don't have it that shouldn't, we need to make sure that it is available for those who do need that. So report insights. Now, this is a graphic that is probably a couple years old, and but I'm still going to talk just briefly about it. So some of these numbers may have changed just a little bit, but millennials and Gen Z are more likely to say they have experienced a cyber threat than baby boomers, and 79% of baby boomers say they've never been a victim of a cyber crime. And we think that's more because millennials and Gen Z have grown up in a digital world and they understand what cyber threats are more so than baby boomers. So baby boomers say they've never been a victim. They probably have, but they just don't realize it. They don't recognize it as a cyber crime. 46% of respondents say they use a different password for important online accounts, with 20% saying they rarely or never do so. We'd like to say that that number is going up for the people that are using different passwords for important online accounts. But even still, when I go around talking to people, talking to not just teachers and students, but administrators, even IT people as well, it's really still a struggle for us to use different passwords for everything. So that's something we really need to work on. 43% say they create a long and unique password either always or very often. I'm not so sure about that because every time I've talked to somebody, they've said they just use something that's easily rememberable, and we'll talk about that as well. 48% of respondents say they've never heard of MFA, multi-factor authentication. I'd like to say that that number has gone down now because with the advent of, well, not the advent, but the fact that more districts are getting cybersecurity insurance, one of the requirements for that is that the district has enabled multi-factor authentication. And because of that, I think more of the people that are in districts have heard of multi-factor authentication and have likely had it implemented at their district. 64% of respondents have no access to cybersecurity training, while more than a quarter of those who do have access choose not to use it. This one here, I think that number is going down, the no access to cybersecurity training, because districts are very much investing in cybersecurity over the last couple of years. So I think there is a lot of access to cybersecurity training. But again, the amount of people who have access and choose not to use it, that number could stay the same or even go up since more people do have access to it. It's again, we're in a position now where we're trying to educate everyone that it's important that everyone has a hand in cybersecurity, and it's not just up to the IT people. And once we get that information out and make that known, then I think more people will choose to use that information. So there's an organization called K-12-6. It's a great national organization. They are dedicated to K-12 districts and security, cybersecurity, data privacy. And one of the things that they do is they have this map that they show. And these are from 2016 to 2022, I believe, maybe 2023. These are the cybersecurity incidents that have been reported to K-12-6. Now, again, just reported. There are many, many, many more that have happened, but you can see that this isn't just one particular area or one particular state. The entire nation is going to be dealing with this for a long time to come. So I'm going to click on this link real quick, and it brings you to the cyber incident map. Thank you for posting that in the chat, Matthew. The 1,619 incidents between 2016 and 2022. So this is a really neat map that you can hover above these little icons, and it tells you which school district or which school corporation had an incident, and then you can click on it, and then it tells you a little bit more about that particular district and the incident. So if you're wondering, can I get some concrete, real examples of what has gone on in other districts so that I can talk to my board, talk to my superintendent and say, these things do happen inside of K-12? Go to this map and you'll find plenty of examples. Okay, now worldwide attacks. Everyone also thinks, well, not everyone, but many people think that, oh, it's not going to happen to us. It doesn't happen that often. I don't hear about something that often. I just want to show you, this is a real-time map of worldwide attacks that are going on right now. Everything you see on this screen, I know this is a little bit hard to see. I don't know if I can zoom in here, but you can see all over the United States, there are attacks going on everywhere. A lot in Europe as well. Now, the United States has the most data, most infrastructure, so we're getting attacked the most. We also have the biggest, obviously, economy for ransomware and all kinds of other things. So that's why we're getting attacked more than anyone. But this just gives you an idea. Every time you see a little circle come up, that's another one that's happening. And so there are thousands per second worldwide that are happening security incidents. So I will go back to the slideshow now. So let's talk about some of the things that types of malware so that you understand the difference between them, and you can explain them a little bit more maybe with your students and get them to understand why cybersecurity, data privacy, and cyber hygiene are important. The one we've been hearing about a lot lately because it affects such a big part of a district in terms of finances is ransomware. That's where they take a hacker will get into the system and they will do a couple different things. They could either attack one particular device and lock it down. They could steal data, which is leads into spyware also, but they'll either steal the data or they will encrypt the data, and they'll say, we'll give you this information back for a certain amount of money, or if you don't pay us this money, we will give your information out onto the internet, private information that we don't want out there, and or you have to pay this kind of money. So that's one of the more prevalent ones over the last couple of years. Spyware steals your data. That's just where it's kind of that goes with ransomware a little bit, where they could use spyware to steal the data and then ransom it off to you. Adware spams you with ads. Now, what that does is it will put some kind of software a lot of times on your computer where you'll constantly get spammed with ads whenever you're on a browser. It could add an extension to your browser to where ads constantly pop up. And one of the ways that they profit off that, if you're wondering, what does that do for them? When it comes to ads, basically every time someone views an ad, it counts as technically a click, and that gives however many cents to the person that has spammed that ad. So if it's spamming you and you're getting a bunch of ads coming up on your screen, every time one of those come up, then it obviously is going to pay them, and that's why they want that adware on your computer. Nope, Matt, 16 toolbars at the top of your browser would not be a good idea. Worms, they spread across computers. So we'll talk a little bit about phishing here in just a little bit, but what will happen in this instance would be the hacker gets into one device and put some software on there that will spread across the network onto other computers. And in just a second, I'll talk about, actually, we'll just skip over to botnets real quick. What that can do is turn all of these computers into what's called a botnet. It turns your computer into a zombie. If you've ever heard of a denial of service attack or distributed denial of service attack, that's what botnets are primarily used for, where they will take control of all of these computers and they will spam some kind of a request from all the computers to a particular server or something all at the same time. And what that does to that server is overloads it with requests, and it shuts the computer, that server down. And it just is a disruption to the services that that server is supposed to provide. And then we'll go back to Trojans. That sneaks malware onto your PC. So if you are a victim of a phishing scam, a lot of times they'll gain control of your computer by maybe sending you a link through your email through phishing. You click on that link and you think it's something that you're maybe a Starbucks gift card, and we'll talk about that later too. And you click on that link and it's actually an installation link to put software onto your computer. So that's why we really need to be careful with all these. Social engineering. So manipulating, deceiving, or influencing you so a hacker can gain control over your computer system. Now, I did a presentation not too long ago where I was physically in a district and I started talking to a teacher that was there, and I just started talking to her, just doing a random, a casual conversation, and hi, how are you? What's your name? And then before I knew it, within 30 seconds, I had her name, her husband's name, her two kids' name, where she was born, where she grew up, what her job was. I knew where she worked. I had all of this information just by asking. Social engineering is one of those types of influences to gain information just from directly a particular user, to say, get information from them that could uh, help you get a password or know what programs you're using, what social media you are using, and from there you get more and more and more information to make it easier for the hacker to gain information from your computers as well. Phishing. We've done a lot of phishing campaigns. So this is a type of social engineering that uses an email or website to get you to click on a link. It could be to collect information or put information or some kind of software onto your computer. We've probably all at some point have gotten a phishing email. It's going to probably look pretty legit. They've gotten more sophisticated with phishing emails, the hackers have. It's no longer so much that you're seeing, a bunch of weird icons and misspellings and things like that. That used to tip you off instantly that, it might be a phishing email. But now they're getting really sophisticated to where they may send you an email that says that, let's say a hacker wants to get to your account, and they go on to the school's district's website, and they see who the superintendent is, and then they make up a fake email address from that superintendent and say, hey, click on this link. They send you that email and you think it's from the superintendent, and you click on that link, and then next thing you know, all chaos breaks loose. That's the type of attack that would come with phishing. These are 4 different emails that I use whenever I do phishing campaigns for districts. So it could be, hey, Jimmy John's, you're going to get a free Jimmy John sandwich, or a $25 gift card from Starbucks, information from Amazon. We also have done, things from McDonald's and several other places. So these are what you're going to see more now, rather than just text-based emails for phishing campaigns. It'll look really legit, and we always get people to click on these things. And luckily, of course, since it's just a training exercise and they don't realize it, it just takes them to a page, a landing page that says, hey, thankfully, this was just a test, and here's more information and training on phishing. Please don't do that again. Last school year, I did 25 campaigns, phishing campaigns, and out of the almost 3,000 people that were tested, more than half opened the email just by looking at the subject line. They thought it was something interesting. And then the worst part was 250 people clicked the link that was inside. That's an average of 6.36%. Clicking the link was the really bad part, because again, you're giving them access to your computer when you click that link. And if they put some kind of software on your computer, then it can just travel along the network to your servers, your firewall, your filter. Depending on the software that they're putting on there, it could really get bad in a hurry. Now, I've had some people say, well, 6%, that's not too bad. Well, it doesn't sound too bad, but all it takes is one person in a district to click the link and put that information or put that software onto their computer. It just takes literally one person. So that's why we're trying to get that number down to 0, and why it is so very important. We talked a little bit earlier about multi-factor authentication, and if you're in a district, more than likely this is already starting to become a normalcy inside of school districts because of cybersecurity insurance. multi-factor authentication. Sometimes people call it two-factor authentication, but and we now call it multi-factor because it may be more than two factors. You may have to give three factors, or even more than that. More than likely, it's just going to be two-factor, but we're going to call it multi-factor. And so this could be where you have to put in, of course, your username and your password, but there might be some other information that you need to put in there. It might be a code that's sent to your email or maybe to your phone. It could be some kind of biometrics where you use a fingerprint or a face scan. It could be that you have a token, a little token that gives you a code that changes every 10 seconds, and the computer knows that as well, and you have to match up that code with your login. So there's several different ways to use multi-factor authentication. Now, this is important to talk about just because it's not just at a school district or work that you should be doing this. I would set this up for your personal email accounts, for even just getting into your laptop or your PC at home, any tablets, any kind of devices. Multi-factor authentication is extremely important, and it should be set up. Safe browsing habits. So again, clicking on random links, not only in email, but on websites as well. If you're not sure where it's going to lead, I would definitely not click on it. Or just getting a random link from a person, it's not good to click on those links. I know it's something we all do, and it's hard to figure out what is a bad link versus what is a good link. I would say at the extreme level, just only go to the website specifically that you're looking for. A lot of people will try and just browse the internet, and you may go to Google and you're looking for a specific answer to a question, and you're clicking on different links. You just need to be really careful. And one of the ways you can do that is by looking at the S in the URL. So I'm going to, okay. So at the top of this screen right here, you have the URL, and you can see that it starts with HTTPS. The S means secure. It's a secure site, and it's directly to Google's servers. If that does not have an S, then you should not click on it one bit ever. You should not be on that site. It's not a secure site, and anything could be, any information that you transfer on that site could be watched or looked at in plain text, especially if it's something like a banking account or something like that. It has to be a secure site. Also, for, let's say, a banking account, many times you'll have a little lock right there next to it as well, along with the HTTPS. Just make sure that you are looking at the S on there, and that helps out. Limit your personal information sharing. That means not only just with online accounts, such as your bank account or something like that, but just anywhere you're going to. Personal sharing isn't necessarily just in, I'm going to enter my information into this particular piece of software or onto this particular website. It could be, and we'll talk a little bit in just a minute more about social media as well. What information are you sharing with people? But especially when you're looking at some kind of form that you're filling out, you're putting in information, your social security number, your name, your phone number, your security questions. Only put it in if you absolutely are sure that you know where that information is going and that it is secure. And then educate yourself. There are literally hundreds of thousands of places that you could go on the internet to look for information, but more often than not, you could just go to your tech person in your district and say, hey, what can I do to help make this better? How to protect myself, to have safe browsing habits, and they will have a plethora of information to give to you, so that you don't have to go through the internet and check that information out. But just educate yourself, be as smart as you can, and be as safe as you can. Don't click on anything that you shouldn't be. Data backups. So when it comes to your computers, whether it be a PC, laptop, even a tablet, something like that, your phone, store as little as possible on the device. I should have put actually on your device rather than PC. Um, Store as little information on there as possible. I can't tell you how many times when I was a tech director, somebody's computer would crash and the person would just be up in arms because everything that they've used, in their teaching career, or they had so much stuff, kids' pictures and things like that were on that hard drive, and they didn't have any kind of backup. That's unfortunate, and it does happen a lot. So store as little information on there as possible. So what you want to do is use reputable cloud storage. You could use if you have a Gmail account, Google Drive is a great one. Of course, Microsoft has OneDrive. There are several out there that you could use for cloud storage. That's the first part of it, not just the only part that you want to do. Another thing would be to utilize a physical backup. Now, I actually use two because I am a tech person and I am scared of losing my children's pictures and important information. So, this is an external hard drive that I'm holding. I have two of these, and I switch between the two. So I will look at the information that I have on Google Drive. I will also mirror that onto my uh, external hard drive, and I will use that one and then make a second copy onto another one as well. Um, Make sure you're not using several instances of the same information because you can fill up your storage quite quickly. But make sure you do have a full backup on each one of those. You can never have too many, but also the one thing I will say about these external hard drives is to make sure they are secure, physically secure, that they're not just out anywhere for someone to be able to access them. Mobile device security, smartphones, tablets, make sure they have a passcode, and I would say and biometrics. Use two-factor authentication just to even get into the smartphone or tablet. Do not leave them in open areas. I've heard a horror story where a teacher left her phone on her desk, left the room, and it didn't have any kind of passcode on it, and it was gone. A student had stolen it. She didn't realize it until after school was out, so had no idea even who had it. And every bit of information that she had on that phone was then accessible by the student. The student could have get into any program that the teacher was using, any app that the teacher was using. So, um, and this isn't just at school, of course. Make sure you're doing this anywhere. I have on my phone, my personal cell phone, a um, 8-digit passcode, and I have it set to where if, let's say, I was to lose it and somebody was trying to get the use the passcode on there, after 10 attempts, the phone will absolutely wipe itself clean. It will just basically erase itself. So it can't be accessed after that. And they have a 1 in 10 million chance of getting the code. So I feel pretty protected that way. Social media awareness. Again, this goes back to sharing information, but what information are you posting out there? When it comes to social media, obviously, one of the things you want to do is share information, see, your friends' pictures, share your pictures. Um, you'll have, maybe your children, your family, but the information that can be gained from that is quite extensive. Just by going to someone's social media, you could find out their names, their children's names, their pets' names, easily find out what their birth dates are. That's another security question. What security questions are you using, and what matches up with that with what you're just freely putting out on the internet? Um, every time you say, well, happy birthday to my daughter, well, then we know when your daughter's birthday is. Or people start posting onto your feed, happy birthday, and then so people know what your birthday is. um, where are you at? And that's another thing, like, if you're posting, I'm on vacation this week, and I'm in, some other foreign country, then people know you're not home, and they probably have, figured out where you live, or at least close to where you live. Just a lot of information that's just freely shared. You need to be very careful. Another thing is to follow the 24-hour rule. I'm not a fan of, I don't have very much social media, but I am definitely not a fan of posting, angry things onto the internet, or um, just nasty things or anything like that. So think before you share and post. Is this something that I really want to be out there? The 24-hour rule is basically you take 24 hours to kind of settle down and think it through, sleep on it, and then the next day you'll probably figure out, yeah, this probably wasn't a good idea, or it wouldn't have been a good idea to post that. So make sure you utilize that 24-hour rule. We were talking about location permissions. So I know at least on Instagram, and I'm sure many other ones as well, when you post a picture, you can have a location that automatically pops up where you're posting that from. It could say, Kansas City, Missouri, and then it has your picture. And because you were in Kansas City at that time, well, that's one of the things that you want to make sure. Do I want people to know where I'm at? Do I want people to know where I'm not at? So you can turn those permissions off. Go to your privacy settings and set your profile to private. Only share with friends what you should be sharing, or what you want to share, or what you think is a very good thing to share. Go through your privacy settings to see who can see what on your particular profile, who can send you friend requests. There's a multitude of privacy settings inside of each of those. It's just a matter of kind of going through and checking each one, and checking off the things that you don't want. I need to check on time. I think we're doing okay. Incident reporting. Okay, so this is something that we don't really think about. If you were to click on a link, let's say you got a phishing email and you were to click on a link and you instantly realize, oops, I just did something very bad. My computer's locked down, it's running slow, something like that. Make sure you report it, even if you think you are at fault, and report it immediately. And I'll give you a good example of why it's important. There was a district that I just talked to not long ago. They said someone self-reported themselves. They clicked on something, and as soon as they did, their screen went wonky, and they self-reported themselves. And because they instantly did that, they were able to lock that computer down really quickly, the IT department, before it went to before that hacker was able to get into anything else, or the software that got installed was able to get to anything else. And because of that, they were able to limit the damage that was done and to that particular computer. So please follow your district's process for reporting. Make sure that you're giving as much information as you can when you do report. When it comes to what were you clicking on? Was it an email? Was it on a website? What time? And you should get that information to the IT department as soon as possible. And if you self-report yourself, yes, you'll think to yourself, "Oh, I'm going to get in trouble if I do." More often than not, the IT department will thank you for self-reporting more than trying to get you in trouble, because you're going to, by self-reporting, help them stop the damage before it gets too bad. So make sure you do report your incidents immediately. All right, let's talk about passwords. So passwords are like underwear. This isn't my quote. Passwords are like underwear. Don't let people see it. Change it often, and you shouldn't share it with strangers. Pretty obvious. So we're going to talk about strong passwords. So what we're trying to get into now are using passphrases, and we'll talk about that in a second, rather than just regular passwords. Um, One password per site or program, and don't write them down. I know that's really hard for people to do. It's like, you're thinking, oh, now I got to come up with some 12 character or 15 character password, and it's got to be all kinds of weird letters and symbols and numbers and uppercase and lowercase. I can't write it down anywhere. How am I going to remember all of these? How am I going to remember which ones go to which site or which program? That's where you want to go with a password manager, something like LastPass or KeyPass or something like that. Do a little research into the most reputable and strongest ones. But using a password manager is extremely helpful because you only need to then remember one password to get into the password manager. And that's where they are encrypted and stored into their software. And it's available then for all the different sites and programs. And they can be, some weird 20-letter password that makes no sense. It could be a different one for every site and program. You don't have to have it written down. It just is extremely functional, and you can also put that password manager onto multiple devices and use the same account on multiple devices so that you can have that on all everywhere you go, basically on your phone, on your computers at home, your tablets, things like that. Now, when it comes to a passphrase, this one here says a green Zeppelin retold poison. It's 4 different words that you can remember rather than a bunch of different letters. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of this particular one, just because while it does have a bunch of letters and it has 3 spaces, and you do have to realize that spaces do matter in a password. This one says an approximate crack time for that particular password is 10 million centuries. Now, that's been a while since this graphic has come up. That's probably not necessarily the case. And I also don't like the fact that they're just regular words. What I like to do is, if you see on the bottom of the screen there, I'll use a passphrase.com. Nice, Matt. Thank you. What I like to do is create a stream of letters and characters and things like that that match up to something that I can remember. Song lyrics are really good for that. So when I did one particular presentation, I had everybody singing along with me, and we were singing the song "Take on Me" by Aha. It was, take on me, take on, I'll be gone, and then in a day or two. And if you look at the screen right now, IBG exclamation point at D02, I'll be gone in a day or two. That's one way to kind of remember what those letters are, and they're completely mixed up. You would never, by looking at that particular bit of text, think that that matches anything. But in your head, you're going to remember exactly what it is, because that's a song lyric, and you know what each of those particular characters are associated to. Okay, have I been pwned? There is a website that you can enter in your email address, and it will tell you, if your email address has ever been in a data breach. It's not just something that you would want to use for work. That's probably a tech person at your work may already have your domain put in there, and so it's checking all the email addresses in your domain. But you can do this for your personal email address as well. If you've ever been in a data breach, you can see which breach it was and what date it was as well. And if it's been a recent breach, you immediately want to change your password. Or if it's been something that you're not sure, if you've ever been to that site, or if it's a particular program or site that you've been to several times, you may want to say, okay, I'm not going to use that particular service anymore because obviously their security is not very good. But go and check your data breach situation for each of your email addresses, and change your password or your browsing habits appropriately. Next, we'll talk about Google sign-in and security. You can do security checkups. You can change your passwords through Google if you have a Gmail account. You can add uh, other account access. If your particular email address gets locked up and you have a recovery account, then you can still re-access that particular Gmail account. You can also set up one-time passwords or set up some kind of password or multi-factor authentication to where you get a code on your phone, things like that. There are a lot of security tools inside of Google that are even for your regular personal Gmail account, not just for schools. And if you want to take a quick quiz about your cybersecurity knowledge, you can go to that link right there. And thank you, Matt, for posting all these. Take a quiz or use a QR code and see how you do. And then it'll not only tell you how you did, but it'll give you information regarding those particular questions and answers. Okay, well, with that, I think we are at the end of this particular slideshow. So please post any comments that you have, any questions. I'd be happy to entertain. And I'd love to hear any, if you'd like to share some kind of experiences as well, I'd be happy to listen to those as well.
Muted. You'd think I'd learn by now. Eric, question for you.
Sure.
When using multi-factor authentication, what is your position? Let's put it that way. What is your position when you're doing a training like this and teachers say, should I use my personal device to authenticate a school account?
Sure. It's very safe to do so. And more often than not, teachers are going to do that because they also have their school email on their phone as well. So they're already using it for work purposes. So it shouldn't be that far-fetched to do so. But if you do have misgivings about doing that, you could talk to your district and they can give you a token. As I was telling you before, it's just a little device that they can hand to you. And basically when you put in your username and password, it will ask for a code and you can just click the button on that little token. It will give you maybe a 6-digit code and you put that information in and then that's how you log in. You can do the same thing with having a code installed, an authenticator on your phone where it gives you a code, or just an authenticator where it says someone's trying to log in on this computer for this account. Is this you or not? And you can say yes or no. That's more often the case with authenticators, is the yes or no, but you could also do the 6-digit code thing. But if you do have some kind of misgiving, then just ask for a token. And they're very inexpensive for districts, so they don't have a problem doing that. And it does meet the requirement for cybersecurity insurance that they need to meet.
Wow. Maybe someday those insurance companies will start handing those out for free to us all, huh?
You would hope so, huh?
Well, thanks. That's a question that I always got a lot when I was working with teachers. So thanks for giving your professional opinion on that. I appreciate it. If there are any other comments out there, whether you're watching us on YouTube or here in StreamYard, please drop those in the comments and we'll be happy to address them. And Eric, will we make this slide deck available after the webinar is over for folks?
Absolutely. I meant to do a bit.ly on there before, but I
so
forgot about that. So
that's quite all right. What we'll do is we'll post that bit.ly in the video description when this gets uploaded to YouTube, which I will probably drop that in there tomorrow morning. Okay. So if you are wondering how do I get a hold of Eric's slides so I can do a presentation like this for my district tomorrow morning after about 9:30, drop by the LTC website, or I'm sorry, the LTC YouTube channel, and that's youtube.com/@ Learning Technology Center, all one word. And under the live tab, you'll find this recording there, and I will try to have that bit.ly link uploaded to the video description. You'll have to like click read more, see more, or whatever. But that'll be a link that you can go to grab these slides as well. But an even better option might be to get a hold of Eric and have Eric come out to your school district and do a presentation like this for your schools.
Sure. Sounds great. I'd be happy to do presentations on this. I'm also doing cybersecurity assessments for IT people. We're also doing phishing campaigns as well. If you're an IT person and you want to have your staff and faculty set up for a phishing campaign, I'd be happy to set that up as well.
Yeah, but now we know what all your emails are going to look like, Eric.
You don't know all of them. There's a lot to choose from.
Gotcha.
And I tend not to reuse from year to year, or every once in a while I'll start changing them up. There's a huge library to choose from, so I don't want word to get out to it says, hey, look out for Starbucks, and then everybody be on to me.
Well, and we also have something coming up next week, right, Eric?
We do. Secured Schools. So this is a cybersecurity and data privacy conference that we do each year. It is a virtual conference. It's not in person, and it's going to be on Tuesday and Wednesday, the 16th and 17th of January. We have a ton of great sessions set up. There's going to be people from all over the nation, all over education, and even on the corporate side, some people that will be able to share all kinds of cybersecurity and data privacy information, tips, tricks, things like that. I'll be on there presenting something called the LTC Cyber Guide that I've developed, and it's an extremely affordable conference, and you can do it from your own home. Once you sign up, you will, once the conference is over, you'll get access to all of the resources that have been shared during the conference as well. We get tons of great feedback with this particular conference, so we'd love to see you.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Eric, for sharing your expertise with us. And we will have this posted up to YouTube tomorrow morning. I'll also send out requests for evaluations for anyone seeking PD credit for your time with us today. So thanks again, Eric, for helping us keep ourselves and our students a little safer as we approach Cybersecurity Awareness Week coming up.
Thank you so much for having me.